Hi, Diana. Hello, Diana.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, great. Shall we go live now?
Um, I think you are already live, aren't you?
Oh, oh, silly me.
So, I would say yes, let's go live.
Yes, yes, silly me. I thought I'd. Have I got two streams going? I just have to check it.
Just check it. Just see.
It is two streams, so we're okay. Okay, my apologies. So, welcome, Diana. I believe you are an environmentalist, aren't you? You are. If left to your devices, you would support the Green Party. Is that right? Have I got the measure of you?
No, 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 no. I don't mind the Green Party to be part of the coalition with some seats, a very little bit of power. Um, but no, not really. There is no party out there which I can identify myself with, to be honest.
Was there
Um,
never a party that you would identify yourself with?
no, I don't think so. There are bits and the different parties all have ideas which I partly agree with, but also partly disagree with. Um, and I am, compared to you, not a really political person, I would say.
Well, you do think about politics very carefully. And you do, take an interest. You lurk around in the alt right, don't you?
I do read about it, and I'm obviously interested in the developments of my country, Europe, the world. So, yes, I can't avoid that subject, can I?
Well, because you know that how your government governs your country will have an effect on your life and the life of your children and the people you care about.
That's correct. So, if I look at the political system in Germany now, first of all, I must say I'm so happy that we um, are not in this two-party system any longer. I mean, there was a time in the 80s, I would think, where we had like two very strong parties, and maybe in the 90s as well. But we are over that, and I don't think we will go back to that. So we have a lot of choices, and coalitions are the way of the future, as you see right now, as you have seen with the last coalition, the last 4 years. um, the parties have changed very much. And I know people you talk with, they support the alternative for Germany. Um, I don't do that at all, really, not at all. I would never ever give them my vote. Um,
What
but my
about your husband?
well, he has an English passport, so he doesn't vote in Germany.
I see. So what would he vote for? If would he be voting for AFD if he could?
No, I don't think so.
You have never discussed it with
No,
him.
not really, because it's not. It's not.
It's none of
He's
his
not really interested
business.
in it. He lives here, and then when it's voting time, I say, hey, I'm back in 2 hours. I'm out voting. Oh, is that today? Yes, that's today. Okay.
Right, right.
So no, he's not interested at all. Not at all. I do discuss that with my friends, but not every day. It's only like when it's time to maybe find the party you want to give your vote to. Then I start reading more and discuss it more, and yeah, that's pretty much it.
So could you give us an example just to teach us about German politics and what are the kinds of politics that you like in one party and disapprove of in another? The CDU, the is it SDP, and maybe you can just give us tell us a little bit more so we
Yes,
understand more.
when I explain that in English, it might not come across right, but I will try.
Thank
So the
you.
CDU is it's a Christian Democratic Party. They are very conservative. They used to be very, very conservative. If you put them on a line and you have the middle, they were right, on the right side of the middle.
What
Not
do you
too
mean
much
by
on
very
the right.
conservative?
Well, they support families. They support the traditions, and they stand for for the old Germany. Let's say that's
But
what
you
they
have a
use.
family.
Yes, yes, yes. But what I want to say is they used to stand for the old family. They have changed. With Merkel, they got very, they got shifted more and more to the middle. Yeah. So it's not like they used to be. So a lot of people which used to vote for them, maybe they now go for the alternative for Germany, the Blue Party. But the CDU is here. It's a color black, and they used to be one of the big parties. They are still. I mean, Merkel is CDU, but they used to have like 40%. Now they have 20%. So they lost a lot. The Red Party is the SPD. It's a social party. They support, the people and the employees and the workers. It's a party it used to be the party of the middle class, the workers. Yeah.
I thought the middle classes were not the workers.
Okay, so we used to have a very strong middle class. We still have, but it's getting smaller, let's say. So the lower middle class are the workers.
Right.
Here.
Okay.
Same in England, Claire. It's the same in England, isn't it?
Well, I don't think people even know what they're supposed to be anymore. I think
Yeah.
people sort of think, oh, I'm a conservative because I have money and I want taxes to be low. But it doesn't even make sense because all the parties try to be all things to all people in the hope of getting votes. So their identity is also confused. I don't know if you're aware that in the 1990s, New Labour basically threw out a clause in their constitution called Clause 4, which is, them nationalising everything basically, which is what, communists were known to do. And that was what they liked to do. And Blair and Brown basically said, no, we're not going to do that anymore. We're going to, have some bland Clause 4 that won't upset the business classes. And this is the way that we're going to win the election. And indeed, they won the election. So, but really, I think the Labour Party in Britain, okay, they get their money from the trade unions, but they don't care about the people who aren't members of a union. So if you're working class, the Labour Party don't care about you if you're not a member of a union.
Okay. Yeah. So, but you could. We call it the Social Party. Yeah.
Okay.
And they were pretty much the Labour Party. I would say, if you want to compare these things.
And the Nazi Party used to be the Labour Party. That was what it meant, wasn't it?
Yeah, so exactly. So it's very hard. That's what when I say it, I will try to explain it and to compare it. It's like very difficult because if we, for example, come to the Liberal Party, we call it the Liberal Party. They are yellow, but they are not. I mean, I don't know what liberal actually means in America, but here it's the capitalist party, the yellow one. So if you own a company, and it's all about money, you vote for the FDP. So they strengthen the companies and not the people which work in that company. That's what the Red Party does. So it's very complicated. The alternative for Germany, they actually have only been on the scene for 5-6 years now, and there are states in this country where they got like 30% of the votes. That's pretty much in the east of Germany.
Why is it more popular? Why is the AfD more popular in the east, in East Germany?
Well, the Eastern people, I mean, the wall came down when 1989, but there's still a difference. And I have actually never visited the east of Germany, never.
I have a German relation, and I still remember how she spoke of the Easterners, and it was like, oh, you're talking about them as if, I would imagine a racist talking about blacks. I thought, it's like, oh, you really don't like them, do you? But
Yes,
but she had a very bad experience when she did visit the East, so
I would say there are still different people, at least the people which stayed there.
yeah.
Um, and why exactly they are more extreme when it comes to their political views, because the left party, the very, very left party, is very strong in the East as well. They have about 30% as well. So it's very divided over there. And both parties over here aren't that strong. Yeah, here in the West, in the Northwest. So
I
I
suppose
don't
it's
know.
because they live closer to the edge, don't they? The Easterners, the Aussies. Is it?
The Aussies. Yeah, we used to call it dark Germany. Yeah, Dunkeldeutschland, dark Germany. So it's not like that anymore. I mean, a lot of them came over here, moved back, or stayed here in the West, have kids here now, and you can't tell the difference.
Uh-huh.
But they are maybe still, if you are in the USA and you are in Texas, Texas is maybe like an own country in itself sometimes. And maybe that's the same with Germany when it comes to the East and all, but also Bavaria is very special, I would say, in Germany. So in Bavaria, the CDU is very strong still.
What, what
And
what what is special about Bavaria? Because I don't quite understand. I know that's where men wear lederhosen, right?
yeah, once a year on the Oktoberfest, that's when they wear it. No, they do still wear it when they live in a little village and they have special traditional festivals going on. Then maybe they wear it. So yes, a lot of them which come from the countryside will have one in their closet, but it's not that's a daily thing to wear.
No, like clogs for Dutchmen.
Yeah, exactly, same thing.
Uh huh.
Yeah. So what's special about Bavaria? I don't know. I think Bavarian people feel very connected to Austria, and what they sometimes say is where the where the border of Bavaria ends, everything above there is North Germany. So it's them, and the rest is North Germany. So I don't know. They are just
But Germans were everywhere. They were in Poland, they were in Czechoslovakia, then in Austria, and those Volga Germans in Russia, right? I mean, Germans are everywhere, really, and I guess it makes everybody nervous when Hitler said, well, because of the principle of national self determination. Well, there are lots of Germans in Russia. There are lots of Germans in Czechoslovakia and Poland and Austria, and let's all have a lovely Anschluss.
yes, and you have a lot. For example, Bavaria has the strongest connections to China when it comes to business. So they were just a little bit faster when it comes to creating business and trade connections to China back then. Um, I'm not a friend of all this. Yeah, when I see the development when it comes to China and the Western world, especially the USA and what China does. But
Right.
wait a minute. I'm getting interrupted. Wait 1 second. Okay, I'm back.
Okay. So what you're saying is that Bavaria is like Texas. Bavaria in Germany is like Texas in America. Was that what you were saying earlier? And
I
and
think it's so hard to compare, right? But Bavaria is a little bit special. When it comes to the people, they are doing their own thing. They are living a little bit in their own world. Yes. And they are still very um,
Conservative.
Traditional, yes, traditional when you want to compare it to other regions in Germany. That's what I think, yes.
And what part of Germany do you come from, if you don't mind my asking?
hmm I come from the northwest.
I see. Oh,
So, do you know Cologne,
oh
Düsseldorf?
yes, yes. I have
Yes.
relations round there.
You see, so I'm maybe 45 minutes away from these cities.
It's very pretty there.
mm mm. I live in a suburb of a city. So I call it countryside, but it's not really countryside because I mean it is, but if I get in the car in 10 minutes I'm in big cities, or 15 minutes.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think of where I know Wiesbaden. I know Badems. I think that was a pretty place. I
Say it
remember
again. Which one?
Badems, Badems. Um,
No, it
it's
doesn't
a
ring a bell.
Badems.
See, I don't even know that.
Oh, okay. Maybe not so much a part of Germany that I was in, and right, right. I've forgotten all the names now anyway, because it's been such a long time. But I remember that was where the river Rhine and some other
hmm
river, three rivers meet.
Yeah, no, that's a little bit, no, that's not where I live, but I live close to the Rhine, very close to the Rhine. Yeah, and I live west of Cologne and Düsseldorf.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. So in
Uh-huh.
North Rhine-Westphalia, which is yeah, that's where a lot
Yeah.
of Germans live. I don't know how many we have, 18
Yes.
million or something.
Yes.
Yeah.
I was just thinking. I've always had a lovely time in Germany, and
Oh, that's nice. How often have you been here?
I haven't been for ages, but every time I've been there, I've had a lovely time. So, um,
To visit?
I'm not particularly horrified when people say, "Oh, but we could be speaking German if the Germans had won." And I thought, but the Germans are such lovely people. What is the problem?
You think we are lovely people?
Yes. Well, I've
I
been
think
very lucky because I've only met the nice
yes, you
ones.
were lucky. You were lucky. We are. I think we are very busy people. So our lives are very fast, but that's maybe a problem in the Western world in generally. So I believe in England and the USA, it's the same thing. It's just everything is very fast. So
Yes.
when you see us outside somewhere, we are probably rushing from A to B because we want to be in time, right? So if a tourist comes and says, "Hey, can you help me? Do you know where this and that is?" Normally we wouldn't have the time to show you and go, "Oh, I'll walk you there, no problem," because we don't have time for that. you know
Oh, yes,
so
city people. They'll just completely ignore you because they want to go somewhere else. But you ask a foreigner, they usually know the place because places like London. It's like, yeah, I mean, if you want to be entertained, you can try and ask somebody who actually works there. Wherever it
mm,
is, and they won't know. They'll say, "Oh, yes, I work here. I've been worked here for years, but I only come here to work. I don't know where anything is." And you get that kind of answer.
yeah, you see, when I was in London, I've been there a couple of times, went in the underground station and just popped out somewhere and we have maybe been on that um, underground train for 2 minutes or 5 minutes, and when we walked up it was a different world, but it was still in the middle of London. And ah, it was great. I was younger then, so it was amazing and very exciting. Yeah. So you live in the middle of London?
No, no, I don't. But yeah, it's just as well that because it can get a bit much, isn't it? Because
Yeah.
after a while you get tired of all the passers by. I mean, the English have this expression. It's like Piccadilly Circus. And you don't want to be at Piccadilly. You don't want to live in Piccadilly Circus because
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
then you won't know who the hell you are. Maybe you want to live in a place where people might just remember you if you go to the shop often enough. You know. So
Yes.
so so
Yes.
um yeah.
So I've lived in Brussels for 6 months in Belgium. Um, I wrote my I finalized my master thesis over there, and had to go to the European Parliament every day and all these things.
Oh, you were part of the Brussels bureaucracy, were you?
For 6 months, yes, and I even got offered a job. I was 24 at that age. And I had planned to go to Australia and New Zealand for 6 months with my backpack. So I said no to the job. And I'm now looking back so happy that I didn't, because this circus is just so far away from the life I want to be in, to be honest. I mean, it was like I was on that many networking parties. I was actually not really having a job there. So I was with the German Chamber of Commerce and Industry. And my boss sent me to all these networking parties where she didn't want to go.
Right.
Yeah. So because they were in the evening, and there were many people writing their thesis over there. So we all met, and we didn't all knew each other, but we met on these parties and we hang out together. And the food was great, the wine was great, the networking was very exhausting, because these people only talk to you because they think they get an advantage by knowing you. I mean, I was an absolute nobody, right? An absolute nobody. I appeared and disappeared again, and I didn't have a clue. So
You go to one of those parties when people are talking to you and they're looking behind your shoulder to see who else is more interesting that they can talk to.
Yes. Oh my God. That is just not my world. I went to the parliament, and I had to sit there and listen to certain stuff and then write the report on it, give it to my boss, and she sent it out to the to the chambers in Germany, only for the subject, which I did, and that was political education. So she didn't want to go, and I had to go. And it was interesting. I met some politicians, obviously, and it was an experience, I would say, but nothing I could do for a living at all.
Yes.
Not at all. If I look at what they earn, sometimes I think back and go, yeah. But you shouldn't do stuff like that for the money, right?
No, because you'd end up hating yourself. But what comment do you have about the Belgians? Because the British say things about the Belgians, and I'm sure Germans also have a view about Belgium because you invaded them, didn't you?
Oh yeah, but I didn't, So I personally, I'm actually, you might have noticed that I'm very open-minded when it comes to people. So I do not really think in these categories when it comes to passports, or what kind of history the country has with my country. It doesn't work like that for me. Not, no. But I'm very connected to the Netherlands anyway. And I've been there hundreds and hundreds of times. And Belgium, I've been there before loads of times. So when I moved there, I lived in a house, in a flat, and the owner of that house lived downstairs, and she was Belgium. She was a Belgian woman, Flemish. Or she spoke Flemish, not maybe she spoke French as well, but with me, I don't speak French. So,
But you speak Flemish, and Flemish is
no. I can understand a little bit of Dutch, but not really. It's not really a great deal. I think I understand more than I actually do. So that's that. But I didn't understand what she wanted from me and what she was saying and all these things. And she cooked for me sometimes. And so it was okay. I could have a conversation, I think, but more with hands and body expressions, I would say, and a lot of smiles and a lot of nodding,
Yes, I can imagine.
But the Belgian people, seriously, I didn't even meet that many, because I was in that, I lived in the European, how do you call that, area? So because there are that many Europeans living there, because they work there, and I was in this circle of people. I was out every night on different parties, bars, and I don't. I did speak to Belgian people. I'm sure I did, but I spoke to people from all over Europe.
Yes. I mean,
Well,
this was maybe it's just peculiar to me, but I was with my parents and we were in Belgium and there was a guide. And I particularly remember the guide because he was transgender. And I also remember, other guides. And it was just how they explained themselves to Chinese tourists. They would complain about the British, like, oh, the British,
did they?
they just want to be, they want to be a member of the club. They always complain when they have to pay the membership fees. They're so terrible. But, we Belgians, we're so wonderful because, at such a time of our history, we were part of this great European empire. And then at another time, we were part of that great European empire, Napoleon, and, whatever. So, so that was what I noticed, about the Belgian character, that they wished to be, of service to whichever European empire was, prominent at the time. But maybe this is a generalization. I don't know.
I don't know. It was one contact you had, one
Yeah.
guy thinking that. So when I lived there and I went to the European Parliament plenty of times, as I said, and spoke to all these people, I had actually no clue. But it was at the time where Europe got extended, East Europe, all these, what was it, 10 countries, 12 countries, whatever. And they were very, very busy with that. And they did complain about the English a lot because it was like everybody agreed on something, and then the English were like, well,
Yeah.
yes, that sounds great, but the English would like to have it a little bit different. We would like
Yes.
to have this added and this added and this added, and it was like, come
Why don't
on,
you just move
really?
to America? Just move closer to America and stop. Yeah.
But that is all the past now, and now they are not in the European Union anymore. And the way, I mean, I would have loved them to stay in the European Union, seriously, but my partner's mom is sending Christmas presents out every year, and she sent 7 parcels this year. 7. I mean, seriously, little tiny parcels with I don't know what in it. And we have to pay now 10 euros for each package because of what is it?
Customs and excise.
Yeah.
Oh,
So
that's
that is
annoying.
now the result of the Brexit, right?
Oh.
So
Well, tell her not to bother next year.
that's exactly what we did already. We said, thank you very much, very lovely, but never do that again. Just send money on our account. Thank you very much.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's just too much money. She's sending little things, and probably all the stuff she sent is not even worth 70 euro. Who knows?
Yeah.
So,
How
yeah.
much? 70. 7.
It's 10 euro each parcel, and she sent 7.
Right. Yes.
Right.
Yes. So how annoying.
So that's the result of the Brexit.
Right.
Right.
Yes.
But that's only like a normal person feeling these differences, like us. I mean, there are bigger issues with that Brexit, right? On company levels, you have a lot of English companies over here still, even in this area. They are run by England, and now everything is getting complicated when it comes to, normally they just filled a truck and drove it over to England, and now it's really complicated.
Does it have to be? Do you think people are just being mean to the UK because of Brexit? Do they have to be so mean to the UK? Perhaps they do to stop everybody else from leaving, because I think that, if all the EU member states had a referendum, I think they'd all vote to leave the EU, right? I mean,
Well, if you let the people in the country vote, I think a lot of countries would leave the EU. Yes.
yes.
And Merkel um, was so pro the EU. It was, the little baby of, not, it wasn't her baby, but she continued that ride, and it was very important for her. And let's see how the new government reacts on that.
Well,
I
I suppose
mean,
Germany being the most powerful land power in the EU,
you mean the money giver?
the money
We,
giver, yeah,
the
yeah,
money giver. We pay all this money just to keep it running and to keep it alive.
yeah.
And yeah, and if you, I don't know what the people would say around here. The option isn't there. The option isn't there that there will be a vote. But I could imagine that a lot of people would probably say, no, thank you, keep the money in the country.
Yes. Yes, I imagine because I was thinking, if you are the biggest power, then you are the ones, paying all the money, and maybe ordinary Germans are also sick of it, and and ordinary people, they have a problem with the immigration. They
Yes.
connect the EU with immigration. I mean that's why Britain had Brexit, but but it's a structural problem of all Western countries. I mean, the Americans can't
Yeah.
blame their immigration problem on being in the EU, can they?
The immigration and the integration is a huge problem, not only in Germany. It's if you look at countries like Austria, Sweden, the little countries,
They're not
when it comes,
having enough babies. I mean, that's a problem.
oh, that's a total problem when it comes to the structure in the country. Germany is the second oldest country in the
Yeah.
world when it comes to the citizens. Only Japan has older people,
Yeah, yeah,
and
but it's not just an exclusively Western problem. I mean, the Far East has it. I mean, China's sort of getting a bit upset that even though they lifted the one-child policy, a lot of Chinese parents say, we don't want any more children than just one. You know,
but
so
doesn't China allow now?
yeah,
Don't
yeah,
they
but
allow the
but
second
the
kid?
ordinary Chinese parents are saying, thank you, but one is enough for us. We don't want any
Yeah,
more.
you see, and it's the same in the Western countries. I can only speak for Germany. Here, it's a lot like that. So I would like to get my retirement money, but
Now you
if
want it now.
I don't want it now, but I want it in 25 years or in 20 years. So if I retire, or when I retire, and the pot is empty because there are
Yeah, yeah,
not enough
because they
people
spent it
paying
on
into
on their
it.
nonsense. It's like they are spending it on nonsense.
Yes, and the people are getting sensitive when it comes to, wait a minute, why are we spending the money on people which we probably or maybe do not even want here? We want different people here, not the people which are low educated, and we need to push them through courses, language courses, qualification courses, whatever courses for 5 years, and then they only work in the low money earning sector, which means they can't pay a lot into the pot.
I think,
That's
yeah.
not helping the system really.
No, no. I mean, my view is that really this is a problem. If you don't have enough babies, then you will get an aging society. It will change the national character, and people will, find immigration the quicker solution to their current labour problems. And once they're hooked on it, they'll keep wanting more because obviously they can't. Businesses can't wait around for Germans to have enough babies and educate them properly. So they need it. They need it now. And once they let one in, they let all the others in.
Yes, but when you look at the system compared to, for example, America, the things the government here has installed should help each woman to say yes to a baby. When it comes to, you get 8 weeks before you get the baby, you stop work, but you still get paid for the or 6 weeks before, you still get paid 100% of your wage. The 6 weeks after, you get still pay, well, 8 weeks after it, I think it's still 100% of your pay, and then you have maternity leave for, you can choose 75% of your wage for 1 year, or you split the 75% over 2 years.
It sounds
And
expensive.
it's expensive, but if that wouldn't happen, people probably would even get less kids.
Well,
It's
I
just
suppose that the
how it is.
quickest way to do it is like, okay, hey girls, you better find a man to support you, and then we'll pay him a little.
Find a rich man, yeah, but
No,
it's
no,
not
no, no.
about.
But
It's not only
this is the
about the
equal
money.
pay thing. If you didn't have equal pay, then you can afford to pay the married man a bit more, and then he will look after his own wife and family using that wage, and then that would mean that women won't come into the workplace to compete with them, and maybe they will be happier. Maybe that's how they were happier before. And then most women will be able to find a husband because most men will be able to afford a wife, and women do like stuff being paid for, and maybe
Yeah, but
that.
the educated woman, that won't work. That won't work. I remember when I had my second kid. So I had my first kid, and 2 years later, my second kid got born. So I was at home for 3 years. I could have stayed at home for 4 years and still getting money, but after 3 years, I had enough. I had enough of changing nappies and only talking to my friends about dirty nappies, and I just couldn't do it anymore. So I was on the phone to my friends a lot, talking about, oh, I'm so tired because my kid again didn't sleep, the normal stuff a mom goes through with the kid.
But
But
these days, anybody can talk about anything online. So there's actually no excuse for being bored. You can find people to talk politics with, even if you had all those children and had to
oh, it
change all
wasn't
those.
about Claire. It wasn't about talking. It was about going back to work, being productive, achieve something else. Yeah. I don't need to prove to myself that I can do all these kiddie stuff. That's easy actually when it's a baby. And when the kid entered kindergarten, or I had it in daily care, um, I was only at work for 4 hours a day, but it was so important for me. It was so important for me to have my own world. Yeah, the subject. I was working in a project, and I was doing the work in the project, and then I came home and I was a mom. And in the morning it was me, and then I was a mom again. And I love that. That's fantastic. That's the way I'm still doing it that way. I only work part-time, but without the work I would feel, what I said to my friends, and they said the same thing to me, is that we felt like our brain was reducing the ability of even thinking intelligent.
But you can
Because
listen to radio and I mean
but this yeah
I mean
but
it's
it's
not
it
like in the olden days where you really were stuck with your
but that's
own.
all passive. Listening to something or talking about something that is not achieving a lot. Yes, I understand what you are saying. You can keep your thought process, you can keep your brain working, yeah, by giving yourself ideas you want to think about
Yeah, you
and
can
get some
read and
input.
listen and talk and yeah.
Yeah, but for me, that wasn't good enough. It wasn't satisfying, but that is only because I used to work before that. And it was always this, I pushed myself through education, um, to have a career, to have something. And then I did it for a couple of years, and then I became, a mom, which I love. I love being a mom. And but this part inside of me wasn't gone in the minute I gave birth. It was okay. It was for the first 2 years, I would say, um, but then it came back, and I thought, no, I want to have something for myself, and I like work. Yeah, I love my work actually. So it gives me something,
Yes.
and it's part of my identity. Actually, I would say,
What what
and
what what did you study at university?
yeah, I would tell you all these things, and I've said these things on YouTube before, but I get harassed on here very, very bad.
Oh, do you? I
So
didn't know that was, okay, I didn't mean to, cause you to
yes, so
dox
so
yourself.
I
I
wouldn't.
was just curious about what you studied, that's
Yes,
all.
what I can't, yeah, I mean, I can say that. I don't know if the trolls are in the chat room right now, but so I have my master degree in educational science, but only adult education. So what I actually did study was adult education, and then it was stretched on further education, qualificational management, and organizational development. So, and part of the organizational development was surely and clearly the fact that our people get older and older. It's like knowledge management. How do you keep the knowledge inside a company when all the old people leave,
Well, the
right?
trouble with people kick out the old people and make them redundant. I mean, and replace them with
Yeah.
cheaper young people. I mean, it's their own problem that they cannot see the value of experience.
Yeah, but
Right.
it's more complex, and it's for sure more complex when it comes to bigger companies. If when a person spent 30 years in that company and had a management, middle management, high management position, and developed the company, the knowledge. If that person now gets older and is more sick, and they go, do you know what? Stay at home. We will pay you some money. Just stay at home. The knowledge goes as well. So, yeah, that's what I studied in combination with psychology and what's that in English? Soziologie in
Oh,
German. So,
sociology. Oh, yeah,
yeah,
I did study a little bit of that. How
yeah,
fascinating! How fascinating!
yeah, yeah.
It's
It's
how to manage and manipulate people, right?
no, it's not. It's really not. It's I don't. It's I think it's more about to understand people. It depends on the perspective you take, I would say. I mean, the job I do now is it's very complex as well. So I do work, actually, I do work with people which come from other countries, from Europe or outside Europe, and they do immigrate to Germany, and they do want to do stuff here, and but they are younger people between 12 and 27. So I work with them face to face, but also I'm part of a lot of networks where I sit and change structures when it comes to schools, further education programs, and the needs. What does that city need? And then stuff gets developed for next year or for the next 5 years. And what do we need? What is there? What is missing? And like coordinating a lot. What I can do with my part-time job, right? It's only part-time, so
Yeah.
it's not big steps. It's just pushing certain things, connecting people so they can do it, right?
Yes.
So
Yes.
yeah, that's
Gosh.
what I'm doing.
Yeah. I mean, to talk even in terms of planning ahead so far, I don't know. I mean, how has COVID impacted on people's ability to even think of the future in the long term?
Massively. I mean, massively. If you look at the statistics of the younger people, the people in puberty, I mean, we had bad lockdowns here. So some of the pupils stayed at home for over a year in the middle of puberty. They didn't see their friends. They locked themselves in their rooms, argued with their parents. The parents lost connection to them. And the psychological, if you want to find a therapist for your 14-year-old kid at the moment because you think that kid is not right anymore, yeah, it doesn't need to be suicidal, but there are steps before that. You can't find one because they're all full now. They are all full.
Wow. Wow.
And that is really scandalous. And a lot of my friends are teachers, actually, on different schools, like different levels of schools. And they say that the result is very, very visible. So, for example, if you are younger and you haven't read that many books and your reading skills aren't that good, although they sat at home for over a year, they didn't read a book.
Because they were
So,
playing on their phone, right? Or watching
yes,
porn or
Yes, so coming back to school now, their reading skills have reduced, and yeah, a lot of things, a lot of bad impact when it comes to the education of the people, the formal education, the school education, right? That's a formal education. Um, and I would say it has a lot of an impact on the future of these kids.
And the future of the country.
That's correct. So what do you do? Do you go down with a level and say, oh, the A level in 2027 will be 30% reduced when it comes to the tests? You know, the how difficult the tests are. So we have all these people which can go to university then. Or do you go, we won't change anything and we might only have so and so many people which can go to university because
Yeah,
they
well,
passed
well,
the A
fewer
level.
people should go to university because they all come out stupid most of the time, right? They
Well,
present
when they go to
company
the
accepted, but maybe more vocational training is required, so you don't need all these immigrants coming in to well, I mean, the whole thing is that every country has its own working class, and they should be protected, or they'll become useless, right? They'll just become clients of the welfare state, and then they'll be no good for anyone at all. So you have to
but the
protect them.
but the thing we had it here, the old working class, the people learned their job. Here in Germany, you do learn your job for 3.5 years, and it doesn't matter if you are a hairdresser or if you work as a roofer. Yeah, it's 3.5 years. You go through the training at school and working in the company, and then you get your examen, and you earn good money. Then that's the old working
Yeah, because
class.
Germany used to be famous for its excellent vocational training.
Yeah.
So,
Um, I don't know if that has changed that much. We still have that. Um, the system is still the same, but there are plenty of young people which don't even bring to the table what's necessary to go through that. So they can't even be in time. They can't be reliable. They are lazy. So you have more and more companies which go, no, thank you. I don't want to spend 3 years on that kid if that kid can't even, be reliable and is too late every day and is lazy. And no, thank you. So then they stop.
so,
They
so, so, what? Why do? How do you explain this kind of behavior? Their
parents.
unpunctuality. Okay, bad parenting. So I guess you have to deal with the parenting.
Mm-hmm.
What is the
Mm-hmm.
illegitimacy rate in Germany these
The
days?
what? Sorry.
Um, illegitimacy rate? Unmarried parents having children?
Oh, I don't know, but it's
Rising.
getting high. It's getting higher every day.
Yeah, well, that's a problem.
Oh, is it? I'm not married.
Okay, but I'm afraid I will have to say that I think that
No,
is a
it's okay.
problem. That is the problem,
It's your
and that
opinion.
is why I think the only way to solve it is to use secular Quranism. I'm
Okay.
so sorry. I'm so sorry,
Okay.
Diana.
The thing is, seriously, the people, to me personally, a marriage is just a piece of paper. I don't need that piece of paper for myself, right? But I see what you are saying there. What I do see is that the generation now is maybe not working. We are so superficial. We just, if something breaks, we just buy it new. We don't put a lot of time in fixing, repairing. We don't do that anymore. Yeah, it's all.
Make do and mend was what the English used to say.
Can you repeat that?
Make do and mend. They will just
Make.
repair things and be creative
Yes.
about,
Yes, and
music.
that's my parents' generation and my great parents' generation. They used to be like that, but my generation and the younger generations, I don't think they are like that anymore. And it's the
Loss of
same.
skills and loss of the ability to think. And in fact, my mother says people are so stupid now. You know, they really are. They
Mm-hmm,
don't bring their children up properly. They're just stupid. That's what
mm-hmm,
she
mm-hmm.
said anyway. And she lives in Malaysia, but
Do you know what I find interesting? Germany is so over-regulated when it comes to anything. If you want to fish, you need to have a fishing license. If you want to drive your car, you need a driving license. If you want to go out and shoot a deer, you need a shooting license. My drawer is full of
there should
licenses
be a
for
marriage
whatever.
license too, right? There should
Yeah,
be a
but or
marriage license.
parenting. Yeah, parenting license as well. I don't know.
Yeah.
Um,
And
it
if you're not married, then you should be treated as a sex offender. It used to be
was,
the case. It's not completely new.
but my kids are imprisoned as well, by the way.
I was
So
going to ask you about the tithing system that Germany. I think Germans pay a tithe still, don't they?
I'm still part of the church, and every month I do have to give some of my wage to church. Um, yes, I'm Christian and I didn't leave church. I know a lot of people which wrote a letter and said, "Look, I don't want to be part of of any church anymore," and that means they don't have to pay money to them. Um, I'm still part of it, but that is more. Um,
For getting a burial place, that kind of thing, right?
yeah, that was the idea. Seriously, I
Yeah,
haven't thought
yeah.
about that in years, but that is pretty much the idea behind it. And I haven't christened my kids because I want them to choose what they want to believe by themselves when they are old enough.
Right.
So I don't sit here and tell them, look, church is stupid, the belief in God is stupid. I don't tell them anything like that. I even put them in a Catholic kindergarten. I do let them participate in school.
Right.
Um,
You're Catholic, are you? Or your parents
no,
were?
I'm Protestant.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah, but and my partner is Church of England, whatever that is.
Yes. It doesn't mean anything.
um, so yeah, but from next year on, my kids can choose to participate in primary school in a subject called ethics, and I like that a real lot. I thought they would start that from the first degree on, but there weren't enough parents which wanted to send their kid there, so it's starting now from next year on.
Sorry, next year your kids are going to go to a special kind of school?
No, they're still on the same school, but they seem to be. So they are now in the second and third grade, and
Right.
I think more unchristened kids entered school now, so that's why they have enough kids to create that course.
For non-Christian children.
I don't know if my kids are non-Christian. I mean, we live in a Christian society, so I class myself as a Christian as well, in a way. I mean, that's my upbringing more or less. So it's deep in my system. Um,
It's part of your European identity, yes?
why do you say it like that with this tone in your voice? It is.
Yes, well, I'm just saying it is. There's no escape because, just like, Chinese people think Confucius is part, runs in their veins, you will have to think that, if you want to go back a bit more than liberalism, it's Christianity, yes? And of course, there is this religious instinct in everybody, they want to go back, quite a few generations to say, this is how we have been, far away, a long time ago, that kind of thing.
I believe that the time when you do get influenced by the environment you grow up in, let's say the time before puberty, before you even start maybe questioning the world you live in, yourself, and who am I, where do I want to go, what do I actually think about the world I live in, all these big questions, right? Before you get to that point, you are just influenced by the environment. And I think Germany and a lot of other European countries have um, the Christianity is a root of everything. Is it the constitution? Is it the culture? It's everywhere, and I don't know. Um, I don't think it's a bad thing. Seriously, um,
Because you should
I
know your roots anyway, I think. You know, whether you agree with what your ancestors did, you should know, where you
and
came
you should
from.
feel, and you should feel. I mean, look at yourself. You do have, you are one of the people which know. I mean, different worlds, right? Or
Yes.
you have family living in different worlds, and you maybe when you talk to them can feel that they are coming and living in a different coming from a different world, living in a different world, because they look at things differently or have different opinions, and I'm just not that judgmental over it, seriously.
I'm
um
not necessarily judgmental, but I'm saying that people will, at some stage, when they are thinking about their cultural identity, they want to go back. And this is what I see about Americans, because a lot of Americans who wonder about their identity now, they kind of envy Europeans, because Europeans speak a different language to English, and the Europeans have come from an old culture, and I found it surprising that Americans with their constitutional rights should envy Europeans' identity, when in my view I think a lot of European well I think a lot of identity issues are quite messed up. But I suppose the grass is always greener. I imagine that Europeans might envy Americans for their constitutional rights, their gun rights, their First Amendment, even though in practice it's not allowed in America anyway, because they get cancelled for saying the wrong thing. But and then I suppose that's the origin of the grass being the grass is always greener on the other side, just because it just seems nicer.
I don't know if it is. I don't even think that way, that the Americans envy us in any shape or form. What the
Well,
thing
I talk to a few white nationalists, and when they talk amongst themselves, they say, "Ooh, but I was I come from Italian ancestry, I come from German ancestry, and Wotan, and they kind of go on like that, and you know what I mean if you listen to them a bit." But,
when you if you listen to these kind of people, yes, and if you talk to these kind of people, yes, I've experienced that. When I say I'm from Germany, and there are these white nationalists, they automatically think that I'm Hitler's daughter,
that
and
they want to
um,
think they met her.
they think that automatically, and
Yes.
they think they found a sister in me, yeah, that I've surely, just because I was born here, must surely agree with everything they think. It's automatically. And if I go, wait a minute, no, you guys are not really my folk, um I then get called
A race traitor.
bad, yes, bad things. I get
Yes.
called very bad things. It's not this, oh, that's interesting. Interesting. I want to think, I want to self reflect myself, thinking why I do think that every German thinks that way. Interest. No, 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 no. There's no interest there. They turn around to you and call you all the names under the sun because you are a traitor. So, yes, that's that kind of people. But seriously, there are many other Americans, and which don't think that way, and which is good in my opinion. What I do see as well is if I compare Germany to America, if you go through kindergarten in the USA, you sing the national hymn every morning, and we love America and we are proud Americans. They are very patriotic. That's something that's pretty much not, we don't have that here. Not, maybe a Bavarian or an East German person would say something else, but we aren't like that at all. And if the Americans then start, when they grow up and they start looking at their own history, and they then come to the conclusion, wait a minute, it's not all great what we have done. Yeah, it's we have been pretty bad with the Indians. Not Indians. It's not Indians.
Native American.
Yes, Native Americans.
Yes.
Thank you. And they start to self-reflect and see the full picture. That's just, I like that. I like to see that. And that's maybe, I don't know if that is what you meant when you said we are looking back at our history. It's part of building up our identity. We want to know where we come from, and all the.
I mean, we need to understand our history, but the thing is, history is always being distorted because of wars that are lost. We know that the Japanese have a weird way of looking at their history because of, the defeat of World War Two. And I'm sure, Germans will be considered, it's still controversial, isn't it?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
also the British too. It's like, what were you doing? You picked two fights with the Germans and they didn't even want to fight you, and then you lost your empire. What do you think you were doing? And they can't answer it, you know.
Yeah, but I sometimes think, I mean, you are very interested in these things. So you probably surround yourself by people which are also very interested in these things. But the average person in England and the average person in Germany and probably the USA, they don't spend hours and hours every day trying to understand the things you try to understand, right?
I know they only care about, what affects them, the price of beer or cigarettes or whatever. But
No, that's too extreme, Claire. That's too extreme. There's a middle, yeah. But I know what you are saying. But it's, you spend a hell of a lot of time on these things. I mean, you have even found yourself a corner with a future idea for Europe, right? And you come on here and
the IEU, the Islamic European Union.
yeah, exactly. I mean, that's you are the first who came up with that idea, and will probably be the last. It's your corner, yeah. Your name is written all over it, and I mean, for how long have you been doing this now? Have you gained fans, followers, which go, yes, let's do it. Let's knock at Johnson's door and let's do something
Well,
about
because he
it.
has no power. I mean, that is really the problem. And there's no point going to the White House either because the American president actually has no power. It's, the people behind the throne. The
Yeah.
people who are always going to be there, or whoever the president or prime minister is. And I'm saying
Yeah.
that this system of government is wrong. And it's opaque, it's shadowy, and people don't really understand the rules, and they can't fix the problems if they don't understand the rules, and maybe they're too scared to talk about the problems, and maybe only a few people can really talk about the problems because ordinary people will start getting upset and angry
Yes,
because
but
we're talking
if you
about the
have studied
fundamentals about national identity.
national identity, yeah, if you have studied a little bit of sociology, I can't pronounce it in English.
Sociology, yes.
Yeah. Um, you actually know how slow changes and developments happen in a society, and how long it takes to plant the seeds in
That's why
the
you
in,
have to change the law.
you want to do it with a law.
Well, that's the quickest way. That's why all political activism is focused on changing the law, because that's the quickest way of doing it.
Yeah,
And if
but
that's not enough, you change the whole system, right? That's revolution.
I mean, changing the laws, that's happening all over the Western world slowly. Not It's not happening behind the scenes, but it's happening. The crisis now, the pandemic, has been a great time. Even before, they've been changing these things. I mean, 75% of the laws um, in the EU are actually made in the European Parliament, and most people don't even know that. 75%.
It's frightening, and the thing is, they don't like it.
Hmm.
I mean, because I think every citizen of any nation will think, what's wrong with our leaders? Why can't we make our own laws? Suited for us. Why do we have this supranational organization of people who don't even live in our own our country, telling us how to live? So I think fundamentally that is a problem. The people don't feel that their government is looking after them properly.
Yeah, and that's why I think changing it with laws won't really work. If you look at the USA, the group of people which have had enough, right, which go not with us, no, not one step further. I'm They're talking about civil war and everything. It won't happen now. It won't happen in 2 or 5 years. But if they, I believe what we see over happening over there, people standing up and saying, no, 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 we have enough. I'm seeing what you are doing, government, and I'm not with it. So at one stage, if you do it, if they continue it that way, and then they do it in the EU, they are doing it. I know they are, but I think only to a certain degree it's possible, and then the citizens have enough. That's what I think. It's dangerous. Law um, doesn't change how people feel and think and dream about their future. It's all about hope, security, safety. They
And
care about.
confidence in their government and their political system. I mean, that
Yeah,
is
but that
basically
goes.
it. If people trusted their government, then nothing would be a problem, because the people would think, whatever what you say, we'll do it because we trust you and we love you, right?
It's
But
not
the
like
problem
that
is that they
anymore.
don't trust and love their government. It's the
No.
opposite.
But the interesting thing is, and that's what the people in the USA sometimes don't understand about the Germans, when I say things like that, the way I got at, and that's school education, indoctrination, if you want to call it like that. But we got um, taught not to trust. Yeah, we got taught they are working for you. If they put stuff on you, you don't want. You need to stand up. You need to go on the streets. A lot of the teachers in my age, there were from 1968 was a big historical time in Germany. um, and they put that on us. They said, be careful, be aware. They taught us not to say yes to everything, and they used Hitler, of course. They used that time to make us aware of, watch carefully, um, watch what's happening, see the see what's happening, so you can go against it. Don't let anything you don't want, whatever it is, anything that happens, if you don't want it, say something. Go for your ideas,
But it's
right?
only left wing causes that are successful, right? I mean,
Mm.
the yellow vests, they're not getting anywhere because it doesn't suit the whoever's pulling the strings.
Yeah, but the alternative for Germany is getting somewhere now with that 30%. I mean, they have seats in the parliament now. They're only 6 years old. That party is 6 years old. It's nothing.
But they
And,
they,
and
they hold the yeah.
yes, and there are a lot, and I said that to you before. That's what I believe is they are the wolf in sheep clothes. So it's not. I want the old party, the CDU, to shift away from the middle a little bit to the right again, where they used to be, that's good enough for me. I don't need this party. I still call them the neo-Nazi party. But there are people in there which would argue with you. Wait, I get interrupted again, or don't I? No, I don't. Which have nothing to do with being Nazis. They just want to protect their country, right? They are against immigration. They want to save their culture. If you discuss, if you talk to them, for them it's very important that you don't call them a Nazi, and they are sophisticated enough and they have thought it well through, so they can tell you why they vote for this party and why they want the things they want.
Are they from the lower middle class, would you say?
Oh, it's all over. It's low, middle, and even high class. It's doctors there. It's judges in there, and
Judges.
oh yeah, it's everybody. Yeah, but a lot of money givers for that party. They don't want their names out there, obviously. Yeah. So, but I think it's not middle class. It's everybody now.
Right.
On different levels, and it can grow still. But if what's interesting to see is, for example, if a horrible thing happens in Germany, let's say we have had these things happening, and then I would say they didn't happen before 2015. You have like 10 immigrants raping a German 16-year-old girl who walked home from a discotheque at 2 a.m. And if the media puts that all over the place for weeks, and then you look at the statistics, the AfD gains 5%. And then 2 weeks later, because people's memory is very short, it drops 5% again.
Right. So,
yeah.
What do you fear most from the AfD? Is there a policy? Do they want to leave the EU? I'm not even sure about that.
They want to leave the EU.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay. And
yeah.
And you think that is the most dangerous thing?
No, I don't think that's the most dangerous thing. I just think
that it could lead to racial violence. That is that what you fear?
No. When I look at the world, my biggest problem at the moment is China, to be honest. And also the changes in this world. And I think, I mean, the European Union is very, very big now. So I couldn't even name you all the countries or show you all these countries on a map. Maybe I could. I don't know. I couldn't. Some of the Eastern countries I couldn't. So the identity, to say, oh yeah, I'm a European citizen. Of course, I'm a European citizen, and I'm part of the EU. But there are a lot of countries part of the European Union which I've never heard of, or I couldn't tell you anything about these countries. So I don't feel connected to them at all. But the old Europe, the continental Europe, and the France and England, actually, Italy, Spain, and all these countries, I think we need some form of protection in any shape or form. So I think we should have like a European army to protect the borders.
From immigrants. I don't know who you want to protect yourself
from anybody
America?
who wants to enter Europe who isn't invited. Not really America, but
the Americans
again,
are always telling you guys what to do.
They are more telling England what to do, right? I think Europe is still a little bit less of a slave of the USA than England is. You are the little brother, and we are just cousins. I would say.
Well, I mean, I just found what well, okay, it used to be the case that Switzerland would be able to protect the banking details of its clients, but because America said you got to stop that, what blah blah, um, and I think that there was something to do with a football manager, and he said something, and I think it's all basically America flexing its muscles. So, America isn't just bossing the British around, because the whole idea of America that it's got a global empire and the EU is just an arm of it.
Yeah, but I think that's why I'm very interested in where America is going, and I really worry about the division I see over there when it comes
Yeah.
to the people. I
Because you
think,
do you remember Obama telling the British, like, if you leave the EU, you're going to go to the back of the queue. So don't think you're going to get special treatment from us. You stay in the EU because we want you to stay in the EU. And I remember Obama saying that to the British, and then Trump came along and said, well, if I were British, I'd vote to leave. And
yeah,
I think he gave the British the courage to leave, which otherwise they just they'd be too scared to do it on their own, because
but in the end, it doesn't matter if the UK is part of the European Union or not. We all need each other.
yes.
Yeah, we all need each other, and we need America to be solid, to be strong. And America has been shaking for a long time now, and China is just getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, and they have money all over the world. They
Yeah,
they
yeah, and they're
own
gonna
they
bribe your
own America.
politicians because that is a scandal about Hunter Biden. It's like, oh, the Chinese are going to bribe him, and he's got all these, the scandal that the media suppressed. And it's like, yeah, they've got loads of money, and they're going to bribe your politicians if you carry on using the system of fighting elections. You've got to be a one-party state, like China.
Yeah, but China owns full departments of universities in the USA and in Europe and wherever.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
they have put they put their money in laboratories like in which do scientific research on whatever. They are part of universities. They put their money everywhere. So the claws are all over the place. And we sit here still thinking, oh, yes, America is our big brother. They will protect us. Well, China owns America already, right? And Americans, some of
Unless
the
unless
Americans,
the Americans become a one-party state, and then everybody will do it that way, and then at least they will have some ability to govern in the national interest. Because I think at the moment, with this sort of all these different parties, and they don't really have principles. They just vaguely say that if you're working class, vote for us. If you're middle class, vote for us. And I say, well, what why should people need to divide themselves into different classes anyway? So there's nothing inherently virtuous about being middle class or working class, and the government should govern in the national interest and balance the different interests of the different groups, and obviously govern fairly, rather than this crazy system that is becoming more and more difficult to operate, and whose failure is antagonizing the people it's supposed to govern. And the reason why China is strong is that it's like, we don't have to bother with elections. We don't have to be beholden to corporate China who tells these parties what to do. So obviously the problem is clear about what has happened in the West. If you fight these elections, you need money. If you need money, you're going to go to your business classes to ask for donations, and when they give it to you, when you win the election, they expect you to pay them back in some
yeah,
way.
but Claire, seriously, what I think is that these election games, especially in the USA, it's just a big game. In the end, it doesn't matter who is the president, because in my opinion, the real people in power are sitting somewhere else, and they are not sitting in that office. The lobbyists, the you know the
Yeah,
the
yeah, the
old
deep
money
state, the deep state.
people. Yeah, I don't want to call it the deep state. I don't like that expression because it means so much and then nothing at the
Well, the
same
power
time.
behind the throne. I mean, it's not a new idea. I mean,
Yes.
Athens
So
had
it's
it.
not
The
a new
30 tyrants
idea,
were the deep
and
state.
it has always been like that.
Yeah.
If you look in Europe 250 years ago, 400 years ago, it was the church who was powerful. It was the people which the trade which was powerful as well. But it was the church, and they made the law in all these villages, right? And it doesn't matter. It has always been like that. So deep state, and I don't like to play around with these words actually, but the in the end, what I think what a difference between Europe and the USA is um, the the national pride of the people in America can't be underestimated. They love their country and they love their freedom, and how free they really
They
are. We
topple
can
their own
discuss
statues.
that.
They've gone mad anyway.
Pardon?
They topple their own statues. You know, they do.
Oh yeah, I know what you mean, but still, this I believe that that's just my personal opinion. The national pride and the love for their own country, which most of the Americans feel in their heart and in their system, is something we lack. I think there's a lack of exactly this pride here, and I think the ideas they have for their country and the things they want to keep, they are prepared at one stage to fight for it. And it doesn't matter who sits in the office, but the power of the people at one stage will show how we are all sheeps. I know all that, but I hope that the USA, that the people, if they understand how much money China has put into their own country and how much power they have lost because the politicians allowed that to happen.
Sorry, what do you mean? China has put
Well,
money into what invested into in their own country? Do you mean?
China invested in Europe and the USA.
Oh, buying up ports and stuff.
Exactly.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Exactly. Yeah. And who's talking about that? Nobody. Not really. So it happens every single day. Millions of euro get put in. It's strategically
Yeah, because
they
you're
influence.
poor and you want money and China's prepared to do it. I mean, you know, for me it was the stuff about high speed link between the north and south of England, and you think China's doing it. Why is China doing it? You know. And then the Huawei 5G thing, it's like China's doing it. Why is China doing it?
Hmm.
Why can't the British do it themselves? Because they're stupid,
Hmm.
because they don't bother with education and and then suddenly they realize it's like we better not give it to China because it means all kinds of stuff, and it's like yeah well and they were going to build the nuclear power station as well. It's like so then they're going to do it now, and you're just sort of going to sit around and claim your welfare checks and have and not not parent your children properly and then complain. It's like yeah, I don't know. You can't even. I don't even know where to begin.
Yeah, but all these things are happening every single day. And we just, I just live my life every day. I function, I go to work, do this and that, da,
Yes,
da, da, da,
yes.
da. And then I have to go and find this information because they don't jump in my face. I need to
And then
look for
nobody
them.
cares. You tell them and nobody
Yes.
cares. It's like
So that
but we
because
have
we are
yeah.
controlled by the media, and the media they only put out what they want the sheeps to know. You need to go and look. But if you don't even know what to look for, where is that harbor again? Isn't that harbor in Greece, which they bought?
I don't know which one it is.
I think it's in Greece, and but I might be wrong. I can't Google it right now, so I don't want to
Yeah.
put out false
Yeah, I
information.
mean, I know the Chinese have bought a few, ports in South America, or saying, oh, you owe us so much money now, but just let us use one of your ports then, that
Yeah,
kind of
but they
thing.
own these ports now. And
Ah.
what I know, for example, about the Philippines, one of my brothers, he has immigrated to the Philippines, but he came back before Corona, and he will go back once Corona is over.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but because of that, and he's telling me stuff about the Philippines, and the Philippines are strategically very important for the USA, but also China.
Yeah.
So when he's telling me that, um, America made an offer and said, look, we give you this and that amount of money for your infrastructure. Here's some money. We are friends, aren't we? And then China turned around and said, what are they giving you? Do you know what? We double it. Say no to their money. Take ours, okay? Because we want to be your friend as well, like double as much.
Yeah.
So what do you guess what happened? Or the vaccination rate in the Philippines is pretty low, but they have that many vaccinations in their fridges because the USA said, hey, aren't you our friend? We give you all these vaccinations. And then China said, do you know what? We are double as good, aren't we? Here's all our stuff. So it's all in the fridges and will run out of date probably. But all these things happen, and I don't see that in a not. If I open online newspapers and I read like 10 different ones,
Mm-hmm.
not from the beginning to the end, but and only online. So I'm opening them, from South Germany and North Germany and Austria and blah 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 blah, different ones.
Mm.
It's nothing. It's not in there. Sometimes there's one little article, and then I have to go and search for it. So all these things are happening, and I'm very concerned how obvious all this manipulation is, and this shifting and developing, and all these people which we can't, we are not in power, as you said earlier. We are not in power, so we can try to understand, but what does that help us seriously?
Well,
So
the problem is that you have representative democracy, and this means your politicians are very easy to bribe, and that is the problem.
yeah, but that
You
would
know what
mean
China did to its Jack Ma. It's like you're getting too big for your boots. You better pipe down and be a bit quiet now, because you know what we can do to you if you get too big for your boots. And this is about the Chinese Communist Party telling somebody from the commercial classes that that the party will never be subverted as they are in the West to commercial interests of the lobbyists.
yeah, yeah, but if even if we know all this, what does that actually change? In the end, um, and I've thought that 20 years ago, that, and I still think that to this day. When I was in Brussels, I decided not to be part of this circus, not to be part of, because it's not that you sit there in the parliament and you have your say. It's all about, lobbyists are all over, handshakes here, there, everywhere. It's all about influencing each other, and it's so unreal and so not truthful.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I don't want to be part of that. Changing the world so it becomes a better place is such a beautiful idea. But I think on the way, you will end up in somebody's pocket. There's no there's no way that you become a powerful person who really has the power to change stuff without being sold out before and being people's pockets, favor here, favor there, and then you lost your path. That's what I think. And then
Well,
it's
I'm only a
greed.
political theorist. Nobody's paying me for any of this, but I mean, I think people should be able to see, what the problem is without me even having to point it out. They just choose to look the other way. And therefore, the enemy is within. The instinct to deny that there is a problem just because we have a roof over our head and food in our belly, because we are materialists, we are cattle, and we don't care about the principle of the thing. And the principle of the thing is that the government should always govern in a national interest, and we must always be thinking of the best way to choose our political leaders and the best system of government. But somehow democracy has become sacred, and therefore cannot be questioned. It might as well be, oh, I don't know, I mean, the idea that the earth, sorry, the sun goes around the earth. I mean, it became a sacred idea when somebody, well, Copernicus and Galileo were trying to challenge it and say, no, 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 actually the earth goes around the sun, it's the other way around. And then it couldn't be said because the church didn't want to admit that it had been wrong. And this is the thing. It is, when people won't admit that somewhere they took the wrong turning, and then they hurt people who try to speak the truth, then we are in trouble. And I guess, people are even more likely to deny the problem now when they are fearful and angry. Because you can't reason with them. They're just going to say, well, you can't make us.
Would you say about yourself that you are a realist?
A theorist, a political
No, no,
theorist.
sorry,
But I'm also
realist.
I also
A
like to think I'm a realist in that I'm not painting you a pretty picture. I'm saying somebody made a mistake, and it's up to you to admit it, or you can just carry on, walking to the edge of the cliff. Because obviously there is a problem. I mean, the reason why your politicians are so incompetent and corrupt and try to stop you from, learning about things is because they want to hide their dirty deeds. They want to hide their failure.
Yeah, of course.
And
Of course.
yeah, and the whole thing about the neurosis over World War II is that, really, it was the collective guilt of all the European nations who fought each other in two world wars, and then, and then the center of power went from Europe to America, because the Europeans were fighting each other. And basically destroyed themselves, and then the Americans just said, oh, we saved you from Hitler, blah blah blah, and now you owe us money and we will be in charge now.
Yes, and the collective guilt is still suppressing certain developments, and it's also a card which get played whenever it suits other nations. It's just how it is, I think. Why I ask you if you think you are a realist is we have been talking about this now for 30 minutes or even longer, I don't know. And in my mind, I ask myself, if she sees it all this way, why does she really think that her idea, so your idea, is a solution and a realistic solution for Europe?
Well,
That is,
I do, because I think it's doable in theory. I mean, obviously it has to work in
yes, in
theory.
theory.
Yeah, and the practicalities of, well, everybody is so neurotic, you can't, they might even say, yes, it's true, yeah, I actually agree with you, that yes, I think it's a solution, but because I don't think you will succeed in your lifetime, I'm not going to support you. And that's it, and obviously, the principle of the thing is that, if you think it works in theory, if you think it's the right thing to do, then you should support it, whether you think it's going to succeed or not. I mean, that is basically what I mean about the principle of the thing. But if you say, well, I'm only going to support you if you win, then obviously, I can't promise you. I'm not going to lie that I think it's going to succeed, in my lifetime. But I'm still damn sure it's the right thing to do, because I think, the problem as I see it is indeed the problem, which is, the moral system, the political system, democracy itself. That is the problem.
I think democracy is is great when it works if the people which live and uh, and do make sure that democracy is in place, if they would be pure
It didn't
at
work
heart.
that long in Athens or Rome. I mean, this is, there's historical evidence. It only lasted, well, under 100 years in Athens before Athens destroyed itself. And we know from the history of Rome was that the imperial Rome lasted longer than republican Rome. So, this is,
Yeah, but this is different times now. It doesn't mean, I mean, this time we live in now is so different. So this concept, I think, fits the time we live in. Um, I think we all feel like very free people, and we want to have our say, and we want to have it fair, and all these things. But times are getting more difficult, and now, or not now, but in the future, things will get challenged, and then we will see how stable it all is.
yeah, yeah. And I'm saying, I mean, I know you find, China to be a threat, but around this time, 100 years ago in China, China was in trouble too. It's like, oh, our wonderful imperial dynasty, the Japanese are attacking us, the Europeans are kicking us around,
Yeah.
and some silly woman is in charge who was a concubine.
But it's again not that China anymore. It's a very strong China.
Yeah, yeah,
Uh,
but okay, the best thing that happened to China was, yes, it collapsed, and before it collapsed, nobody could actually say, well, maybe, something about our law or our dynastic system was wrong. Maybe something about our belief system was wrong, because nobody could talk about it until it collapsed, and then there was civil war. And then finally, the Chinese thought, the best idea that we can find is Marxism. The ideas of a self-hating German Jew. We're gonna use that idea. And the best thing about it is well, actually, I guess Germans could take a bit of credit for dialectical materialism.
but isn't that what progress is all about? It's like trial and error, and a try and no. How do you
Yeah,
say
yeah.
that?
I mean, that's basically. I mean, they are. If you look at the constitution of the Chinese Communist Party, it's like, yeah, we support, that dialectical materialism is the truth and the way, and whatever. And you can sort of see it makes sense, because Marx was saying that there is a struggle for the supremacy of different ideas. They will be fighting each other through their human agents. So some people will support communism, and others will support capitalism, and then they will fight in their revolutions and their wars, and one of them will triumph, and then some other idea will pop up, and there'll be, more fighting, and this will just carry on until we reach a workers' paradise. Something like that, isn't it?
I was just thinking, like, Marxism, communism, it's all these. In theory, if you read about it, there's all you all as okay. When I read about it or read about it, there's always this idea. I understand the idea, and I think, but it just doesn't. Nothing works with us humans, right?
Well, nothing
Um,
works for long, but I mean, what Hegel said about, thesis, antithesis, and synthesis, which is kind of the beginnings of dialectical materialism, is well, I mean, you can apply it to so many things. You can think in theological terms. So Judaism is a thesis,
mm,
Christianity is the antithesis, and Islam is a synthesis. So you can be logical and say, okay, that's obviously that's going to happen. We might as well do it now. In the same way that the Chinese did, thinking, well, if we're all going to get to a workers' paradise, if we start first before the other countries, we'll get there before the other countries. That must be what they reasoned when they adopted Marxism.
Well, I don't know. The thing is,
I don't know either. I mean, I'm just guessing.
yeah, yeah. I mean, you do know that I'm not deep into religion at all.
You're deep into politics. It's the same thing.
But I'm not really deep into politics. Do you know what I'm deep?
That's why we've been talking
If
about it for
anything,
1 hour. I didn't find many
yes,
women
but
able to talk to me for 1 hour about politics. You're actually the first one.
oh, really?
I can't think of anyone, any other woman, that talks about politics in the way that you do. I guess you are a rare creature.
Really? I'm surprised now because I wouldn't. I'm not into politics. I am actually in. I'm really not.
I think you
Really
lack
not.
self awareness. You talk about politics almost as obsessively as I do. And you worked
Do
in
you know?
brothels. You worked in
I'm a
brothels.
big.
Brussels. I
I'm.
was going to say you work in brothels.
No, I don't work there. Don't put out
Or you
rumors.
worked there.
Yes. I wrote my thesis there. I wasn't really working there. I was tolerated there to look into the system there to understand some things, right? So, yeah, but what I'm a big picture person. I normally don't get lost in details, which actually suits my life because I don't have. If I get lost in a detail, I mean, you can go. The world is so complex now. You can get lost in everywhere, and I don't. I also don't really support any theories. I'm interested in reading about them, understanding them, and if I read into them properly, I like to discuss them. True, I do that. Yeah, I don't get the chance too often to have these conversations, sophisticated conversations about certain things. I must admit that as well. But in a way, it's like you said at the beginning, I care about the development of this world because I do live here and I have kids which will grow up in this
Yes.
world.
And you feel
And,
responsible for what you're going to leave behind.
and what do they need to learn
But
for the future world, which I don't even know how will the world looks like in 25, 30 years. So what do I need to put, which seeds do I need to put in their minds for them to be happy in 25 years? Because I'm selfish like that. I think, life is short, you only live once. And I think it's all about waking up in the morning and being happy and looking forward to your day, and then going to bed, being able to sleep, to fall asleep without your mind rattling all the time, and thinking, oh, I had a good day. I think that's what I personally believe. And the question is, which responsibility is that? Is it your parents' responsibility to teach you how to feel that way? Is it the government who has to create the environment in a way that you as an individual can function for them, but also be happy and also maybe develop the world you live in? So whose responsibility is it?
well, I think it's a responsibility of any person who considers himself or herself to be an intellectual. And speaking of intellectuals, Germans are famous for their philosophy, aren't they? The German idealists and people like that. I think there's better German philosophy than French or. Okay, maybe I'm not being fair on others,
Yeah,
but
better is judgment again. I don't know if it is like that. I wouldn't judge over that.
because
But
I'm thinking
yes,
of
we are
Nietzsche and
famous
what
for
he said about God is dead and we have killed him, and I thought that's such an interesting thing to say, and is it true? And people will still be arguing about it.
Can you repeat that? What God is dead
Friedrich
and
Nietzsche said, "God is dead and we have killed him." Are you familiar with that? What he
no,
said?
who said that? Nietzsche?
Friedrich
No.
Nietzsche.
Oh, Nietzsche said that. Okay. Did he say that? Okay.
Yeah. And he said that after German unification, and so I guess, and it was in reference, I guess, to the Kulturkampf, right? Which is what or German for culture war, which is still happening even now. So it's been raging for centuries, really.
Yes, but what does cultural war does
But
war?
he was talking, well, in the context of Germany, it was between the Catholic Church and the liberals, I guess. I mean, isn't that what it was about? Because it was Bismarck saying, well, things have got to change now, and well, I'm not going to listen to the Catholic Church. I've got to unite Germany, and people will complain, but I'm going to do it anyway.
And then he said, God is dead and we killed him.
Yes, and we have killed him, and we're still working out what he actually meant by that. I mean, but there is a Wikipedia entry, suggesting what Nietzsche might have meant, and he said
Yeah,
it in the 1870s.
I want to read on that. Because I don't know anything about that.
Oh,
Yeah.
Perhaps we can talk about that.
Well, we can't talk about it because I haven't read about it yet.
Well, when you have, perhaps we can talk about that.
Oh, yeah. Yes, we can do that. And I think, is it 8:00 yet? Yeah.
It must be for you. It is 7:00 for me.
Oh, yeah. So it's 8:00 here, and I need to get ready because in half an hour I'm having a girls' night with mulled wine.
Oh, how nice. How nice.
Mm-hmm.
I see.
And maybe we talk about politics.
Yes. Yes. Well, thank you.
Okay.
Thank you for joining me. It's been delightful, Diana. I hope we can do it again.
Thank you for having me. And I know I'm very mainstream compared to the people you have on here normally. So thanks for having me.
It's always a pleasure to have somebody so mainstream as you. I feel I have raised myself in status already.
Yes, I felt respected, although you maybe rolled your eyes sometimes. But yeah. So thank you very much, Claire.
Thank you, and a happy Christmas to you if we don't speak again
Christmas.
before that.
Yes, and a Happy New Year.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.